Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered! Today it's going to be a match between IdrA and MyChild here on Fighting Spirit. Got a few requests for a mirror matchup in Brood War, so here you go. This is for you, people who requested a mirror matchup. Top right-hand corner, we have the peach, peach-colored player. Here it is IdrA, and in the bottom left-hand corner, it is the yellow Terran player, MyChild. I don't know who MyChild is, but his APM starting off is at about 300, so I feel like he is going to give IdrA a challenge here. Searching in for MyChild, and Wikipedia results in no results. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a Smurf name of some kind, but Smurf names for non-Korean players are... I'm not entirely sure there's a list for that. Let me just say that. Hope everybody had an excellent holiday week. Wait, hold on. Christmas was Wednesday. I'm casting this like 10 days in advance, so yeah. Christmas was a Wednesday, and I'm posting this maybe the day after? I don't know. A couple days after. I've been absorbed by watching The Witcher on Netflix and playing The Outer Worlds, so casting has been a little bit sporadic for me, but not for you, because, I don't know, I just don't miss days. Haven't missed a single day. Maybe one day in the entire 5 years I've been casting. Started in March 2015. I have put up 3,000 plus videos on my YouTube channel. Do the math. Do the math. It's a lot. Anyway, barracks coming up from these players because you have to put up a barracks first in TVT. You're not going to want to go bio. You want to go mech here. It's just not viable to go bio at all, which is funny because StarCraft 2 it is. You can go bio in a TVT because Marines are pretty good at standing it against tank shots if the tanks are unsupported by other Marines. Surprisingly tanky, those little dudes are. IdrA's going command center first, y'all. Okay, he doesn't take MyChild seriously at all, despite the 350 APM that MyChild is rolling with IdrA, of course, at 460. Because IdrA is one of the better, faster players you've ever seen. His macro is off the charts. But he is command center firsting here right now, which is, woo! I like it. I like it a lot. I like the chutzpah on display here. Barracks coming up after the command center because IdrA is not completely insane. And is not, in fact, going to go for something like a double command center opening before he makes his barracks, which would be hilarious. He expands here, expands over here, right? Inside the fog of war at the third location, and then goes for a barracks, and he's like, come find me and try to shut this down, sucker. Hilarious. It really is. All right, so meanwhile, we already have a factory on the way here for MyChild, so he has an advantage on tech. And his tech tree, which IdrA is apparently not concerned about. His barracks isn't even done yet. He's going to be behind in this. And the SCV scout is real. IdrA not scouting whatsoever. As far as IdrA knows, this could be a proxy barracks play. Now, that's one thing that can actually work. Is a proxy barracks play in a TVT. You show up with like 10 Marines and your opponent has like a Vulture. It's not going to go very well. The Vulture control can be really good, but at the end of time, it's not that good against 10 Marines. So SCV gets in for the scout, notices that as a command center first play, notices the barracks is just about done, and comes in and sees the gas and says, all right, well, he's not even starting a factory yet. This is kind of crazy. He's making a bunker. Bunker can be good. Marines are out here. Factory is not going for any Vultures yet. Going for that machine shop first. Probably going for the tank play, which is the smart thing to do at this stage. A bit of some SCV versus SCV harassment here, delaying IdrA's factory by quite a bit. I kind of like this from MyChild, delaying the factory. IdrA's APM has dropped to 270, while MyChild has dropped to about 316. So, I like what MyChild is doing here, but we have seen many a lower level player do well in the early game versus a higher ranked opponent and kind of fall apart after that. So, I'm not putting any super high hopes here on the yellow Terran, but he could surprise us all. That's why I love StarCraft. That's why I love all esports. And ball sports, honestly, is just the element of not knowing who's going to win. You never know. Upsets happen all the time, and upsets are one of the greatest things about sports, whether E or not. Anyway, factory coming up here still for IdrA. And my golly, like MyChild has been pumping out a... What's he making? A nothing already. What is... Seriously, guy? Oh, he has a tank. I just missed it somehow. Already has a tank out. So already has a tank out. Is he going for siege mode? He most certainly is not. But if he pushes out with these Marines in this tank and gets siege mode up and he just starts attacking this front, I kind of like it for him. I kind of really like it for him, but he's playing super cautiously despite the fact that he has the tech lead and he's behind an economy. His natural base is not done yet. IdrA's is and has been for some time. It's 3221 workers. He needs to punish this. IdrA took a risk doing this. IdrA took a risk with this. You need to punish it. Is he waiting for a drop? Why does he keep bringing the tank back into the main base? MyChild, your game sense needs to be for reals right now. He's going for siege mode, which is really nice. Actually, it is Siege Tech. That is the official name of the upgrade, as we've realized. And what the... Wait. I'm a liar. MyChild is not going for Siege Tech. IdrA is. Does he already have it? No, he just started it. Okay, MyChild is in a bit of trouble at the moment, you guys. What we're looking at here is a player who had a tech advantage, kind of threw it away by not researching siege mode until now. IdrA's going to have it. IdrA's going to have a couple tanks. And this push isn't going to punish anything at all. The barracks scouts it coming. And the Marines actually stopped to deal with his barracks, which, sure. I mean, if you want to slow down your attack, you can make that happen. But defensive tank is already set up for IdrA. And that's going to be a major problem for MyChild trying to break in here. So, blah, MyChild, you had it. You had the advantage and you threw it away. You even scouted this. Look at this bait. He's like, hey, come kill these Marines. They're unsupported by anything. Oh, gosh. No, run. Ooh, the one-shots. The one-shots on those Marines. Oof. If you do the maths. Oh, hang on. Somebody be in siege mode real quick. There we go. 70 damage per shot versus a measly 40 HP on these Marines. Especially with no armor. So we've started at the beginning of the tank lines. This is what TVT largely is tank line versus tank line. Although IdrA is going for Goliath with Charon boosters. I like it. Can actually shoot these barracks out of the sky fairly easily. But yeah, this is pretty much what we're going to be looking at for the next little while here. Is tank line versus tank line. Barracks providing that extra range that tanks can't see natively. They can shoot farther than they can see, but if something else is spotting for them, they can actually shoot with the furthest of their potential. It's kind of hard to explain, but you just have a spotter is what it is. Like in real life, you have a spotter on the ground. You can shoot a missile much further than you otherwise could if somebody's directing it at the target, which I don't know if that's any kind of comparison you're interested in anyway, but all right. So third base coming up here from MyChild. I like it. I really like it a lot here. IdrA, is he going to set up? Hang on. He unsieges tanks. Run! Run for your lives. Oh, man. Tank count is 5-3. And, you know, as we all know, tank count matters a lot in TVT. There you go. Siege those up. Get some free shots off. I like it. And then siege ones up and get some more free shots off. Ooh, IdrA. Not sieging his tanks here. I don't know that I agree with this. He just lost all of his tanks but one. All of them are dead, but look at the Goliath standing and fighting pretty effectively here against these tanks. At the end of the day, this Goliath doesn't win, but he does force the remaining tank for MyChild to unsiege before it's out. So, I don't know, fair trades, I think, on both sides there. Goliaths and tanks out for IdrA. That barracks is done, but the third base is almost done for MyChild. So if he can stay alive here for the next couple of minutes, he will have an economic advantage on IdrA. In the fact that he will have 3 bases, it's also 42 to 43 workers. MyChild is caught up that way. Very important to continue making workers during battles, which is really hard to do. I struggle with it myself, but it's what makes a pro player and most of the time. So fairly big, scary army coming out of here from IdrA. He's got 4 tanks and 4 Goliaths versus 2 tanks on the high ground here for MyChild. So I think this third is dead. SCVs might come in here and try to repair a little bit. Or just body block, I suppose. What an interesting stretch. That was weird. Wow, he's fighting with his SCVs here. I don't think I agree with this in really any sense. A lot of SCVs are dying, but you know what? If it doesn't work, it's not crazy, right? Or if it doesn't fail, it's not crazy. If it works, it's not crazy. Anyway, you know what I mean. So that really wasn't all that many dead SCVs either, and the third base survives. So MyChild, I thought that was a questionable decision, but by golly, it worked out for him. That shows me about questioning this guy who I've never heard of before playing StarCraft. Again, good enough to match up against IdrA in some capacity. And good enough to go to a longer than 5-minute game with him. So he's really fairly decent. Hey, did you know you can order peace talks? It's the latest book in the Dresden Files series, which some of my favorite writing in all of the world right now is the Dresden Files. It's just Jim Butcher's the author. He's so good. If you haven't read the Dresden Files, you should. I know there's like 20 books, but they're not that long. We're not talking Sanderson level writing here with 1,000-page books. No. Nope. They're reasonable. They're fun. They're fairly quick reads most of the time. They're just great characters, like really great characters. interesting story, good twists and turns, and there are just 3 or 4 moments in the Dresden series that are like top 5 all-time fictional moments for me in everything fictional, including movies and TV shows and books. So give the Dresden Files a shot. The early books are a little clunky. Funny story about the Dresden Files, actually. The first book came out because he was trying to write a novel and get it published and failing miserably. And he had a writing instructor who told him, as an exercise, you should just write a book, a novel, using every cliche and every trope you can think of in novel writing. And he did, and that's what ended up being the first Dresden Files book. So let that be a lesson to you if you're looking to get a book published, number 1. And it does start out fairly tropey in the first bit, but it gets much better as it goes along, and again, turns into a really fantastic series. Check out the Dresden Files if you have some time this holiday season. I'm not even getting paid for this endorsement. I'm going to contact Jim Butcher and get paid for this. Anyway, Tank Line versus Tank Line, round 2, down here on MyChild's side of the base. Ooh, that's a very nice position right there. Ooh, this is ComSat. Scanner sweep to actually scan and get that vision that he's been needing. Keeping this barracks alive is nice too because he has the vision and MyChild does not. He does have a dropship here though, so he could maybe use that for detection. I mean, just vision purposes, not detection, because they don't have detection on them. You know what I mean. IdrA's taken a 3rd. He's constructing a 4th. I'm actually done constructing the 4th in the bottom right. How's that? Take that for data. 113 to 107 supply, 67 to 62 worker count. IdrA's up, but not by a lot in every margin here, although the 4th base is kind of a big deal, as, you know, base count matters a whole ton in StarCraft and in, I guess, I assume any RTS. It's going to be nice to have a ton of income, no matter who you are. Now, don't have so much income you don't have an army. That's the trick about RTS. Don't have so much income you don't have an army. These tanks are even stacked together. You generally want to spread them out. Like, these generally are fairly spread out for IdrA. Meanwhile, drop over here from MyChild on IdrA's 4th, but reinforcing units coming in. And it looks like should be able to hang on. Okay, more and more tanks rolling in. So that should be enough to handle it, but that was pretty good. That was a pretty good little drop, I guess. I'm not sure many workers died for IdrA there. He's still up in worker count, so that's where we are at this stage of the game. And if we're very, very lucky, this TVT will eventually move into Battlecruiser. You generally don't see Battlecruisers, sometimes against Zerg, and more times in TVTs is the BC. This tank line for MyChild is depressing. It's down to 1 tank. I don't know where his army is at the moment, to be honest with you. He's got a little bit of a SCV up here, not building anything yet. There's a really intimidating tank line out here for IdrA, but, you know, I was going to say, you're going for a drop then? Looks like he might be going. He is. So he's dropped some tanks off here at the natural to save it. And then he's going to go drop that bottom right base. Although the turret construction has begun. It's going to be fairly hard to get through here unless you come right through this area. And that turret's not done yet. And it's not. Hang on. Why'd you go this way? Alright. I guess. What the. Okay, fine. We're unloading there, I suppose. So some tank fire, but. Nope. Fire on that. Get him. Get him. He's getting some serious damage done. Okay, there we go. Goliath. I think the first Goliath we've seen out of MyChild, at least in an offensive situation here. Actually attacking this command center. Dropship coming in from IdrA to deal with this. I think he's going to drop Goliaths right up on this position, and he is. Hey guys, get over here and help. Hey, MyChild. Bring your no reaction time. He's too busy trying to kill SCV. It's not working super well for him either. And that's it for that drop. Meanwhile, pushing on in with his tank line and obliterating what MyChild has to offer here. I mean, the good news is Defender's Advantage is kicking in for MyChild, so we can get tanks to the front lines faster than IdrA can, because IdrA is miles and miles away with his factories. Even if he drops ships them over, it's still not much faster than just walking or rolling, I suppose, in the case of a tank. MyChild's 4th base is done. Both players are constantly scanner sweeping, and I can't imagine this is a secret from IdrA at this moment in time. I'd have to guess that is not the case. Another drop into the bottom right here. IdrA got a couple tanks defending, but he just left with all of his dudes. And SCVs are in trouble. Command Center going to take that tank fire again. I don't know why you unloaded that Goliath there. That seems like a really poor life choice, but forcing a lift off the Command Center is pretty good. Any tanks firing on our tank line? No. No, there are not. So there's some trades happening here, and I just feel like IdrA is getting the better of these trades. It's 156 to 132 supply. Is he building a turret? He's building a turret here, so I think IdrA is going to be moving into that top left corner sooner rather than later. Like I said, these tanks are not fired for a while. There are 2 HP on this tank. He's taking some tank fire, but he's not dead yet. No, he's not dead yet. IdrA, 5th base, just kidding, coming up just next to his 4th in the natural base location. Continued scanning and firing happening all over the place. IdrA checking to see, is there a base here? Of course there's a base here. Again, I can't imagine he hasn't scanned this. TVT is the most scouted matchup in all of StarCraft. Both players constantly using Scanner's Sweep because there's nothing else to use it on. Unless there's wraiths to worry about, you don't have to save that energy for anything, so just scan whenever you can. Check bases, see what defenses are there, see what your opponent has taken for bases. And we're setting up for a pretty darn long macro TVT here, so if you're here for that, welcome aboard. This is what was requested, and this is what we are gonna get. I actually did recently cast a PvP. So ZVZ would be the one I neglect the most, and that's just because the games are 7 minutes long at the most. It's very much, oh boy, 1,000,000 Zerglings versus 1,000,000 Zerglings, or who got to Mutalisk first? And then someone tries to defend with Hydras or something, it doesn't work out. Dropship coming up to the top here. I assume either this is defensive or it's a waypoint to get into the natural, which, not a bad thing to attack the natural, I don't think. Oh, look at this defensive positioning. Wow. He really wants to make sure this base doesn't die, but IdrA is just pumping tank after tank after tank out right now, making 3 at a time. MyChild making 4 at a time. 186 to 163 supply. Goliath getting some free shots. Oh, this barracks is actually burning down. SCV needs to repair that thing if you want that vision. MyChild actually made another barracks for this purpose of scouting and seeing. That's fantastic. That's really good. All right, well, bit of a drop here on top of MyChild's stuff. Friendly fire tank splash is bad. SCV's in the mix. IdrA takes the chance to siege on up and murder everything, and I think MyChild just lost his natural. That was so well executed from IdrA. What else do we expect from him, though? He's an excellent, excellent player. I know you came here for the rage, but really, IdrA, if nobody talks to him and he doesn't lose, he's fairly quiet. He just shows up, good luck, have funs, and then GG's out. I'm not sure that's what we'll get here today. If MyChild tries to talk smack, then IdrA will return fire. So natural base for MyChild is flaming and cannot land where it is. Some high ground tanks here for MyChild trying to get enemy siege tanks off of his bridge. Not going super well for him. The dropships are real. IdrA's taking another base. This has probably been here. No, it's been for a while. So 5 bases for him. There we go. 12 o'clock. He's expanding. He's just out expanding and out macroing super hard here. 18 minutes into the match. 174 supply for both players. 72 workers, but the base count is much, much higher for IdrA, and that's going to be good for him. When he starts mining out his bases, he'll be able to transfer SCVs to new mineral patches. Like this one, for example. The 4th isn't super saturated. You can make a transfer there, no problem. Anyway, if you're enjoying that I'm casting a TVT for you, hit that like button. It just helps me get more notice from YouTube's algorithm. December is usually a pretty good time for that. They usually recommend my videos more in December than any other month. I don't know what it is. But I start getting comments from stuff I posted like a year and a half ago, apparently being recommended to people in the YouTube algorithm for suggested stuff. So, don't know what it is about the month of December. It's historically always been good for me in all the years I've been doing this. But if you guys hit that like button, it also helps the algorithm too. I mean, this is just IdrA has taken up residence on the bridge to MyChild's natural. He's not going to move in because the high ground siege tanks are annoying, but he's going to prevent this trade space from being mined at all. There's a long distance gas mining happening. That's not a good sign. IdrA trying to siege up this top left base while we're sieging stuff up. Let's do it. And dropships coming in for the drop, ladies and gents. There it is, dropping right on top of MyChild's friendly fire. Problematic here. High ground tanks doing all right for MyChild, but there are just 2 of them here, which doesn't seem to be working out super well. Oh gosh. Again, they're stacked, which means hitting one of them, the splash murders the other one too. So that was bad. 181 to 174 supply. IdrA has a lead right now. The good news for MyChild is he kept this top left 4th. The bad news is he doesn't have a 5th I guess this is technically a 6th at the 6 o'clock position. Easy to remember that way. Been there for a while, but losing the natural hurts in the grand scheme of things here. Not immensely. Like, Child's not out of this game. Anytime you have 180 supply and a decent bank and a TVT, you're gonna be fine. So IdrA's taken every base available to him with the exception of the center, which you take if you're way ahead and are just kind of styling on the other guy. Which happens, actually, more than you would know is taking the center base here on Fighting Spirit. Styling happens quite a bit. We'll just enjoy the Terran music here for a minute, as we don't really see any aggression from anyone right now. I guess these dropships possibly could be, so we'll follow them for a bit and listen. And here we go. Turnabout is fair play here. Dropping right on top of IdrA's little containment group, which isn't that big in retrospect. Maybe some of his units left, but MyChild secures the bridge for his own. Forcefully securing the bridge for his own. And then he lands his own 7th base, I guess. Here, just kidding. Where are you going? Command center, land here, my friend. That's what you gotta be doing. And then a bit of a drop up here at the north against IdrA's 12 o'clocker, but there's just too many reinforcing units coming in for IdrA, and that's not gonna last very long at all. I imagine some SCVs died, but it's still 73 to 74 workers. It's about as even as it can get without being perfectly even. Both players working on upgrades, and there we go. MyChild is making 5 Battlecruisers at a time. There it is. There are the BCs we've been waiting for. I was hoping we'd get there today, and we did. +3 attack for MyChild's tanks and vultures, which we don't have any of, and Goliaths. And +2 attack for IdrA, so upgrade advantage for MyChild right now. I don't know that I've necessarily seen it be all that useful here, but anyway, upgrades are nice. Nobody's really bothering with armor upgrades at all either. And IdrA has just forcefully planted himself in MyChild's top left. That 4th is in a big amount of trouble here. The Battlecruisers maybe can save it, but the Goliath count is pretty high for IdrA, and he can always make 100 more if necessary. I assume he's scouted it. He's making 3 Goliaths at a time. Who's going to respond? Who's going to respond to this? The dropships are coming up to the north to try to save this CC. Siege moding it up, using an SCV to get that vision. Does take out one of IdrA's tanks. I think the CC is going to survive here. I'm looking at it, and I think the defensive count is enough. There we go. Does get rid of all of the siege tanks in range of the CC. IdrA still being here is a problem because he can defend additional drops, which is exactly what he's doing here. He's got his foothold on the beach, which, if you ever followed any World War II military strategy, you would know getting a foothold on the beach is hugely important. Hey, you don't have any Goliaths, IdrA says. Why don't I just drop right on top of your tanks like I've done all game? No, says MyChild as he loses everything again. This base is now officially in a large amount of trouble, although this tank is alive. He is alive and getting repaired. Oh, he dead. Too much damage. Too much damage from those tanks to repair through it, even with 2 SCVs, and they take the splash damage too if they're right on top of the tank getting fired on. So yeah, top left base is completely and utterly evacuated. 7th base happily running here. Battlecruisers coming up to try to get rid of all of this. There are really only 2 Goliaths here. So, at least, again, for IdrA, so I feel like he didn't use the... Surprised he didn't use the Battlecruisers to get the siege tanks off of his bridge here, so he can re-land his natural. I think that'd be pretty good. Oh, gosh, where are you going? No! Why? Is he... Oh, he's got to be freeing up supply. Okay, so freeing up supply here. These tanks are running for their lives. I'm not convinced IdrA saw this coming. Did he not scout the BC tech switch here? Yamato's just about done too, which is beautiful. Now we're going to see Wraith production. Now we're going to see Valkyries possibly. Definitely Science Vessels in the mix. Is this a drop attempt or is he freeing up more supply? Empty drop ships flying over Goliaths. Okay. It's a feint or something. I don't know. Either way, IdrA going for a doom drop to the 6. That is so many drop ships. Okay. Well, once again, MyChild gets dropped on. IdrA convincingly wins the battle, brings in reinforcements, which are entirely unnecessary. Yeah, a lot of SCVs are dying here, which is a problem. IdrA pumping out 3 Goliaths at a time. Goliaths are so good against Battlecruisers. As long as the Goliaths can hit them. Pro tip. Like this. This is a problem for the Battlecruisers. Is these guys, from distance, on ground. If you can keep it to a situation where the Goliaths cannot hit you without you hitting them, you're in a better spot, but do you have Yamato? Use your Yamato! Ah, these Battlecruisers are just not doing the work I need them to do here. Ow, ow, ow. The missile turrets and the Goliaths are doing so well against them. MyChild lost at 6 o'clock entirely. His natural base is not being given back by IdrA. Wait, maybe it is. There's no more siege tanks on his bridge, but these dropships are sneaky. What are they planning on doing, you may ask? Well, what they're planning on doing is just dropping right in MyChild's main. So, alright, frontal assault at the same time, going pretty darn well. And, well, this might be it for MyChild. I don't know that he can dislodge this army of IdrA's. I really don't. He's got +3 attack. It's done. The Battlecruisers are 1-1. Hang on. Get that Goliath first. It has no HP left. Don't let it just hit you indiscriminately. MyChild, you're killing me, guy. I think you just did some Yamatos there, which is cool stuff. More BCs out. IdrA's making his own Battlecruisers, of course. That's one way you can respond to this. Another way is just a ton of Wraiths. And, like, science vessels for EMP, I guess. Valkyrie's pretty good, too. Are these empty dropships? These are all empty dropships. Why are they... maybe suicidal. Alright, so the good news is IdrA's drop inside the main base of MyChild was cleaned up because Battlecruisers exist. And there were no BCs from IdrA on the other side here. Making 7 at a time. Where is he producing these? Ah, bottom right. Bottom right is Battlecruiser Hangout Heaven, or BHH, as it's known colloquially among the pilots of Battlecruisers. Probably have a nickname in Russian, wouldn't they? Because Battlecruiser Operational is definitely not an American thing, or an English thing, really. That is definitely accented English of the Russian variety. And, like, I'm not prejudiced against accents. Let me tell you something. Anybody who can speak English as a second language has my utmost respect. English sucks. English is incredibly robust and incredibly versatile, and you can do anything linguistically you want with English. But it's hard to learn because there are a ton of exceptions to every possible rule. Pronunciation rules are a total mess. There's homonyms and synonyms all over the place. It's a nightmare to learn. I learned that by teaching it back in, 2002 is when I was doing that sort of thing. But anyway, English is great. If you can learn it and, like, you're watching this as English as a second language, props. I respect you immensely. I don't know why he's not Yamatoing. Maybe this is a Yamato. You got a Yamato, guy? Hey, look, a Yamato. What's the matter with you? See, that's a dad joke. I don't do dad jokes, despite being a dad. Colossus Reactor, ship plating on the way from both players. IdrA's maxed out. He's got a pretty big bank here. MyChild is also fairly maxed out, but he only has 400 gas in his bank compared to the 2,000 that IdrA is rolling with, and that is a problem. Hey, he's reestablishing his natural. Wow, that's some exciting stuff. I mean, it's nice he still has this income, but IdrA taking this base is massive. Massive, I say. Well, there's your thumbnail. Right here. Like, Goliath versus Battlecruiser to the death here. Neither player really likes what they're seeing, but MyChild's down 50 supply, so maybe he doesn't have to. But IdrA having this 6 o'clock is massive. This is the one. This is the one that counts for everything. If we're going to mine this entire map out in this crazy, crazy TVT, is IdrA having the income of this base is 1 extra than Child is able to get. So even if IdrA plays Child to a total economic standstill, right? Like, every trade is 100% even. IdrA will have more resources to work with because he has this. And MyChild was never able to take one of IdrA's bases. And the good news possibly here is he gets his natural for income, but there's no gas left in that geyser, so you get middling returns out of it, and you can't really keep a Battlecruiser fleet rolling if you have expired Vespene geysers you're working with. So Yamato on... Did that Battlecruiser die, or did it cancel the Yamato? That one fired. Okay, we're just Yamatoing back and forth here, as you do. Upgrades are 2-2 versus 2-2, so we don't have an upgrade advantage here for anyone. And mass repair on this Battlecruiser, not enough. Hey! MyChild kind of doing all right here. He just won an engagement. He doesn't like getting shot by missile turrets. Nobody does. There are SCVs coming in to die into MyChild's base as IdrA wants additional supply to be available to him for Battlecruisers as he's making 6 at a time. So MyChild, again, really nice play thus far, but I just feel like IdrA has the upper hand. He's got 6 BCs here. He's got, 6 more in production versus the 1 that MyChild can afford to produce, giving him a total of 8. So just doing simple addition there, IdrA's going to have an advantage. He's got 3-3 on his Battlecruisers, and these guys are 3-3 as well. So the 3-3 across the board is kind of nice. I'm not going to argue with it. Again, no gas here for MyChild. No gas at all. IdrA can fire up a ton of BCs. He can fire up 300 gas per BC, and he's got 3,000. He can fire up about 10 BCs here. Even if he loses his whole army, he can fire up about 10 BCs to replace them. MyChild will not be able to do that. Maybe 1 BC when all is said and done. MyChild is trying to take the southern base because he recognizes how darn important it is. It's not that he needs the supply. I can tell you that much. He does not need the supply here. He has 50 available right now, which is, again, not great at this stage of the game. EMP on the way from MyChild. I mean, good. You can take all of the energy off of these Battlecruisers so no Yamato's available. But I just think in sheer Battlecruiser numbers, this is something MyChild is going to do. Or IdrA is going to do here. Natural base gone. This base has not been allowed to exist for very long by IdrA today. BCs are in the wrong position. They're heading south as fast as they can, but they're not very fast. Battlecruisers are pretty strong, and that is compensated for by, well, making them slow. Those are the trade-offs. At the end, MyChild decides not even to really save his own base. He's totally fine with losing all of his supply depots and his starports over here. I think is a problem, long run. EMP boosh. Does take the energy off of several of these Battlecruisers, but not all of them. Some of them have enough energy for a Yamato. And let's see it happen, boys. Yamato's all over the place. Goliath's trying to do what they can. Final stand here for MyChild. His Battlecruiser count is plummeting quickly. And that's your GG. IdrA calls the GG. He is good manner because he won. MyChild left the game, and IdrA is your winner here in 33 minutes and 30-something seconds. 36. He is definitely not one to stick around after he has won and revel in his victory. He's out. He's on to the next game. His TVT was dominant today and always will be. So well done. Well done by IdrA. Gets the win here against, again, somebody I don't know, but honestly, still a pretty great player. Like, MyChild would crush any of us in StarCraft Brood War, I can tell you that much. Maybe even today. Even if he retired like 10 years ago, he'd probably still beat the pants off of us. But this base was massive, right? This base was big. IdrA never dropped unless he was confident he could destroy MyChild's army in that location, and he did. He won those engagements over and over and over again, and that's what allowed him to have the bank that he did, what allowed him to take this base, what allowed him to keep all of his bases, never lost a command center in this game, and that's what you got to do, man. Positioning, economy. That is TVT in a nutshell. GG IdrA. Let's check out the final score. Looking at 330 supply, or 30 points for IdrA, 269 for MyChild, 221 units killed by IdrA, 224 by MyChild. So surprising numbers here. Maybe some of those were sacrificial SCVs for IdrA, though. Buildings raised is 56, which is big. A lot of those were in the final engagement and the final attacking of MyChild main. But this is the story right here. 32,000 gas mine to 26 for IdrA, 60 to 51 for minerals, 84 to 73 spent. That's just a lot. That is a lot of Battlecruiser. That is a lot of tank. And IdrA gets the win. So we got our Battlecruisers. We got an IdrA game. We got a TVT. Hope we're happy about that, because that's going to be it from me today. So this has been Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of a StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching. You take care of yourself.